This is my cousin Greg at a Memphis Grizzlies game. Greg loves the NBA, but he didn't drive over 300 miles from his hometown of Fayetteville, Arkansas for just a game. He was visiting an oncologist in Memphis because he has a brain tumor. Greg was first diagnosed in March of 2009. On Valentine's Day of my senior year, I received a series of text messages from my Uncle Brad, Greg's father. This is what they said verbatim.
In the quiet of a shadow, in the corner of a room.
Your other one?
No, actually, the tumor, my first tumor bed, turn my head, the first tumor, about the size of a golf ball. It was in between my brainstem and the cerebellum, kind of there. And this one is actually, it's not as big, nothing as big. It's like in the septum. Your brain has two little splits like this when it gets up toward the front, and right there it is. It's about it was about the size of I don't know, maybe a bean or something that a couple months ago when they first found it, and then now the other day it's in the same spot and it's the same tumor. It's just about the size of a penny. So, and it's about as flat as a penny too. So,
in late March of 2009. Greg began to have some bad headaches. Initially, his doctor thought it was nothing more than astigmatism. But Greg's headache persisted, and eventually a second trip to the doctor and a CT scan revealed a mass on his brain. He was diagnosed with medulloblastoma. Greg was scheduled for surgery on April 1st, but my Aunt Michelle, Greg's mother, wouldn't allow it.
When they did the surgery to remove it, I think that was on April 2nd they did that. My mom, she wouldn't let him do it on April Fool's Day for some reason. So, but no, they.
My cousin Greg is about 7 months younger than I am, and despite the tumor in his brain, he always seemed to have a smile on his face.
What was your kind of initial reaction to the whole diagnosis?
A lot of disbelief. I was like, "There's no way. There's no way." I remember me and my buddy. He was with me the day before. We were joking a lot about tumor. I got a tumor in my head. And then we found out, and we were like, oh, I really do have a tumor in my head. So a lot of disbelief, and it's like, oh, I can't. Even when I somewhat realized they're telling me that I have a tumor in my head, and there's real. I still didn't take it too. I was like, oh, it's just like getting a cold or something. It's just something you got to get over. And then I realized, no, this is something that's going to affect the rest of your life. So
I realized that ever since Greg's initial diagnosis, I had been distancing myself from him subconsciously. The more I thought about the cancer, the more real it became. But it was time to face the music. If Greg was going to go through this, the least I could do was understand his struggle.
I was at a point where I took 60 pills a day. I mean, it took me a while to get up there. I mean,
Wow.
At first I was like, oh, I put one pill in my mouth and almost choked to death. And I got to the point where I got pretty good at it, just popping pills down, so.
Despite the onslaught of pills, the constant chemo, and the radiation treatments, Greg wasn't depressed or wallowing in self-pity. Since he viewed each day as potentially his last, he decided to make the best of it and enjoy every possible moment.
And a lot of anger came through my body. I was like, this isn't supposed to happen to me. I'm so young and I have so much of my life. Then realizing that I was blessed to have so much of my life already. I mean, I at St. Jude's, I see kids that are like 2 or 3 or even younger than that, and they have a condition like this, and just realizing they don't have all the years I had to do. I was involved in sports, had a normal life growing up, pretty much. I mean, and these kids they don't get that at all.
I'm still stunned by how calm Greg seems. He had gained a renewed appreciation for life. In fact, he refers to life before cancer by its own name.
And that's what this whole ordeal has opened up so many opportunities, more than I can imagine with my other life.
My other life. You never know when you might be forced to dump your old life and get a new one. No one would have blamed Greg for being depressed after his diagnosis. But instead of letting cancer put a damper on his life, he looks at it as a blessing in disguise. And then I realized something. Every day might also be my last. I had heard the expression 1,000 times, but now I actually understood it. Why not goof around and go on adventures? Greg looks at the world with the innocence of a child, yet the wisdom of a monk. As Lao Tzu says, "Be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you."
It's a tough situation. You just got to battle through it.